It's just a bit of a random off-topic one. Apparently, they have now confirmed that the Titanic the Oceangate thing, has been absolutely blown to smithereens on the ocean floor, and they're all dead, basically. So,
Yeah, I saw this. We spoke about this earlier today.
Yeah.
And basically, so this is a story that I have been watching with some level of interest, and of course, our thoughts are with the deceased, and with their families, especially the mother who lost her husband and her son in one fell swoop there, because
that's
basically
awful.
there were like three scenarios here. The single most likely scenario was this one, which is that on
Okay.
Sunday, as they were going down, I don't know if it was going down to the Titanic or coming up again, but whatever it was, when they lost contact, then the theory was at that moment what happened was some kind of leak, which leads to not an explosion but an instant implosion. They wouldn't have
Awful way to go.
known what hit them. At most, they would have had second warnings. But the moment something ruptured, the whole thing would have just imploded instantly. So yeah, they would have. If they felt anything, it would only be like 3 seconds and gone.
Mm.
That was the most likely scenario. And then the other two scenarios was that something that they had lost their communication equipment, in which case the submersible was built so that it would automatically rise to the surface, and there
Mm.
it would just have to wait to be picked up because they can't open it since they're bolted in from the outside, so they are completely dependent on outside rescue. And this
Mm.
is why they were like so worried about the oxygen, because even at the
Yeah.
surface, if they're not found by this time, they're going to suffocate. And then the absolute worst case scenario was that they somehow had been caught and were stranded at the bottom of the ocean floor. Uh, in some ways, that would be as bad as the just bobbing on the surface. But what that would mean is that, in addition to lack of oxygen, they would have to deal with the cold, the claustrophobia, the fear, and the certainty that there's no rescue because you can't actually rescue them if they were there. But now, what
Yeah.
happened earlier today, just a few hours ago, is that they have now sent down other submersibles, not manned ones, just like drones. And what they have found are some of the parts of this
Yeah.
submersible on the ocean floor, which
Yeah.
means you don't find those parts on their own, meaning that there must have been a catastrophic implosion. Well, implosion.
Yeah. That.
I mean, there's
Well,
no
no. That
release. I
they
mean,
have
either you
actually.
implode
They
or you
have.
don't.
Well, they have actually used that word. They have said everyone's dead from a catastrophic implosion. Coast Guard
Yeah.
official said today, bringing a grim end to the international search. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans, and being incredibly fucking woke because the CEO refused to hire very experienced submariners and also engineers and things because they were 50 and they were white. You
Yeah.
fucking dipshit.
In his defense, though, instead
Ah,
of hiring a 16-year-old, he actually did go down and use the Xbox or the Logitech Xbox
oh,
controller to pilot the thing himself. So at the very least, he went down with the ship.
Yeah,
So I
this
don't
is
know.
some of the
Points for
accusations
that,
I
I
was hearing
guess.
too,
Fight for
is
the cause.
lack of actual
like I was,
maintenance and
yeah.
actual knowing what they're doing and stuff like that.
There's
Exactly.
a
Yeah, sorry.
there's a straight up video of him admitting, yeah, no, we no, I wanted to hire young people. A 16-year-old isn't going to be inspired by a 50-year-old white guy. They're going to be inspired by a 25-year-old. It's like, dude, these are people's lives. And look, I feel,
That's his legacy now.
well, that is his fucking legacy, isn't it? This is the
Yeah.
logical end conclusion to box check fucking hiring. This is the logical end. People dead, right? This is the logical end conclusion to box check hiring when safety is paramount. Fucking
Yeah.
people die. And this was obvious to anyone with a fucking brain. So I will say this, the CEO being dead, good, right? Fucking idiot. Absolute moron. and I hate I hate wishing death on anyone. It's not my jam. But what a fucking moron! Someone like that who's so insanely stupid that wouldn't hire ex-Navy because they're 50 and they're white, but would hire a 25-year-old. That's survival of the fittest, is it not? Come on.
You know
fuck
what I
around
think?
and find
I
out.
think that, you know why I think he said that? I think he
God.
said that because he probably started trying to hire a 50-year-old white ex-Navy. And that ex-Navy took one look at his homemade submersible and said, I'm not going into that death trap.
Yeah.
And I'm
never
not
think a
letting
million
you
years, mate.
I'm not allowing you to let anyone else go inside it either. Someone who is whiter, older, and screw white. Someone who's older and more experienced would never let anyone set foot inside of that death machine, because that's exactly what it was. I mean, not only is it a death machine. I mean, you put it down to a depth. It's like literally 4 kilometers below the surface of the surface of the water. I mean, we only literally have like a handful of craft that's capable of going there, and I'm talking both manned and unmanned.
Yeah,
there's like literally less than 10 things on the face of the earth that can go down and come up again and do so again. And this asshole, he assembles this thing in his garage basically from like spare parts lying around, and this one thing apparently got from NASA or something. But that thing needs to be checked all the time for stress.
Yep.
And that wasn't done. And that's probably what caused this.
Right, so so we have a Mexican Iron Man drops in, says DEI means die.
Yeah, it certainly means in this case.
And then Larry J for $10 says he did hire some old white dudes, Navy veteran and an engineer, and they both told him that it wasn't safe, wouldn't allow human testing, so he fired them.
Wow, even better. Even more added context. Well done.
What an indictment there. And then again, we got one from Accident Seller. Says, as horrible as it is to say, but dying in milliseconds by implosive compression, I guess, is preferable to dying slowly in the claustrophobic dark.
I agree.
With no air. I would absolutely agree with that. Absolutely.
I mean, one of the most horrible horror movies you could ever possibly make would be the movie adaptation of this thing right here, if it indeed was stranded at the bottom of the ocean with 5 people locked in this little thing that honestly doesn't even have room for one. And here you have 5 people trapped inside of it. And all of these words that they were like, oh, these exploders, and well, really, that's putting it kindly, isn't it? I mean, you're really grasping to look for some nice things to say right here. The fact of the matter is that they died like idiots. They died for a stupid cause, and they died for absolutely
rich idiots.
Nothing.
250 grand they paid to go on this.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is the reason why I don't go diving, at least not under the ocean. I may go dive other ways, but not under the ocean. And I also don't like,
I get exactly what Andre's saying. Like, at this point, like, first of all, there's already a risk involved with this thing, and then to have the individual in charge of this thing on top of it all, that's just, again, I hate saying it because I feel bad for the mother who lost 2 people in this thing, but Nate's not wrong in the fact of the sea. Like, he's almost, I hate saying it this way, he's almost lucky he went down with the ship, because after this is going to be huge. Absolutely. Huge fiasco after this, and he would have been facing all sorts of lawsuits and everything else. So at the end of the day, I feel bad for the families involved, and that's about all I can say on that.
It's super sad for the families. I think I think at the end of the day, this will bring hopefully some tighter regulations on stuff like this, because you can't.
I don't know that's a good, but that's like the thing. This is like international territory, where there really are no regulations. That's why I honestly, I hope there won't be. Probably there will be, but I would hope there wouldn't be. Still, I like, my hope was that, what should we learn from this? Don't be a fucking asshole, and even if you have money, that doesn't mean you should take all these kind of risks. I mean, I see this as the exact same way as someone that does like base jumping or parachuting or something like that. 999 times out of 1,000, or maybe even 9,999 out of 1,000, it's going to go fine. That one time, or maybe even more than, I don't know exactly what the odds are, but there's a very decent chance whenever you do some kind of extreme sports that you're not going to come walking out of it. Every single year, you have tens, hundreds of people that try some kind of extreme sport, and they either get maimed or they die. To me, this is exactly the same thing. This is basically extreme sports, and this time the dice rolled in their disfavor. And I hope it can be left at that. Probably won't be, but I would hope it would be left at that. Ridiculous. These people knew what they were doing. They took a chance. They walked into a death machine. Did they deserve to die for it? No, of course not. I'm not saying that. But still,
he did.
This was completely, utterly avoidable in every way. They died completely pointlessly, and they did so for nothing.
Yeah.
But still, that's what happens. I mean, them's the breaks.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear.